That's right. And I think another really important thing to consider, especially for people who want couples therapy, is the dynamic of trying to have two individual therapists and a couples therapist or doing co-therapy with therapists can be very difficult to manage and coordinate. So, for those of us who are trained to work in intensives with couples, if we're trained adequately and we understand some of the pitfalls that people fall into, and protecting ourselves and making sure that we have things like a no secrets policy, for example, that I have in my contract, then I have a really awesome opportunity where I can see both people individually and see them as a couple for that 3 days so they can have 6 months of therapy, but have some autonomy and have some privacy and being able to process things with a therapist, but then being able to work collaboratively with both of them as well.
Hmm.
And especially when you're doing addiction recovery or betrayal recovery work, usually there's a major premise of trust breach. And so everybody's on board from day one that there are no secrets. So it helps the therapist to not feel triangulated in that
Hmm.
situation. So if they make sure they address this on the front end, it can be so beneficial. I can't tell you how many of my clients over the years have said, "Man, we're so glad we can come meet with you and we can each get some individual therapy, but we can do some couples work without having to try to coordinate that with two or three therapists." It becomes very
Hmm.
difficult. So, there are times, just to say the caveat, that there are sometimes it's best to have two therapists working because it can be very complex situations that we're facing, but sometimes it's not necessary or required. So that's just another thing for folks that are
Yeah,
considering intensive to think about, is you don't necessarily have to have multiple therapists for the
three therapists.
intensives.